identify yourself and who you represent.
My name is Jennifer Asbenson, and I represent myself. Is that what you mean?
No, the victim.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I escaped from Urdiales.
Oh, okay.
Jennifer, to hear the verdict today, to hear the sentence recommended by the jury, what went through your head?
I planned on going woohoo or doing something happy, but when I heard it, I just felt like all my insides collapsed. And like it was a huge relief. And I just felt like all the jurors were angels, and they just answered the prayers that I had when I was in that car with him when he was torturing me. I actually thought about the jurors giving him the death penalty when I was in that car because I knew that was what he deserved. And I really never saw this day ever coming for so long. And so now I just feel like I got my life back because there is justice. Even if it takes a long time, there's justice. And I just feel, it's like it ended all that. His story is over.
What do you say to the families of the other victims who have been through this with you throughout this whole process?
They are awesome. They're the most badass people. Oh my gosh, I want to get a Ocean's 11 picture with them because they're badass and you cannot mess with us. And I just want them to know who they've inspired and how amazing they are. And I want them to know that their daughters and mothers are shining that light through that, and everybody can see it. And that's what that devil wanted to do. He wanted to use his darkness to take away our light, and it's 100 times more now. Good always wins over evil. I'm sorry, and this just proved it right back there. I prayed. Please don't cut that out, because when I prayed, I promised God I would tell this story, and that's how I got out. So you can't. It's my God clause. You can't cut that out, you know, or just don't put the story on there. I remembered when you're in a situation that you don't know what to do, you try to think of anything you've ever remembered, and you open parts of your mind that you didn't even know you could tap into. And I just remembered my grandma said, if you are ever in trouble and you need help, just pray. And then I thought to myself, okay, I gotta fold my hands, but they were already tied behind my back. So I just folded them together and I prayed. And then I got calm and I got hysterical strength. It wasn't even me anymore. And I busted the twine off and I ripped the trunk apart. There was no trunk release. I just knew I was getting out of there. I was also motivated by fear because I didn't want to be cut up or shot. And I just took off. It was superhuman strength. So I got out because I prayed. That was in 1992. And he was caught in 1996, 97. And here's a crazy thing that nobody knows. When I was 18, I was walking by the TV and there was a story on there that caught my attention, and I stood there and watched it and I got so emotional and I cried, and it was Robin Brownlee's story. And then a year later I was kidnapped by the same guy.
And where were you at the time when you grabbed you? What was the circumstance?
I was late to work, and it was about 9:30 at night on Palm Canyon. It was in Palm Springs. And I was at a liquor store because that was the nearest bus stop. And I was waiting for the bus. I missed the bus. I showed it with physically that I was, you know, I had something going on. He could tell. I saw him pull up. He saw that I was in distress. And he asked if I needed a ride. And I automatically said no. And then he just looked like he was going to pull out and leave. And I had split seconds to think, and all that ran through my mind is, I'm going to lose my job. This is a nice guy. Why am I so afraid of everybody? And I just said, stop, wait, I'll do it. And I got in the car. I was with the wrong person. He gave me a ride to work, and he gained my trust. And I even felt bad for thinking he could be weird, because I felt like I was judging him. And he came back the next morning, and he had gained my trust, and I trusted him. I got back in the car with him, and that's when he decided he was going to kill me. scary, yeah. Some points I kind of didn't want to get away because I didn't know I was going to be able to go in public anymore or do anything knowing that there's sex people out there, but I just got to be strong now, and all I tell myself is that if I fought for my life, I need to live my life. I didn't fight to die and just sit in the house and lock myself up or live in mental hospitals the rest of my life. I fought for my life so I could live my life, and I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid of anybody. I took self-defense. That helped with PTSD, so I don't get nervous closing my eyes anymore because I know if someone touches me, I kind of want somebody to sometimes, but I don't really, but I'm just saying, I know what to do. And next time if someone hurts me, I'm going to be on the news for kicking their ass. I'm sorry. Because I'm not going down. Yes.
Quick question. So after the verdicts, you consult the family of the defendant. Tell me why.
Because I have a heart, you know, I have a lot of empathy, and maybe it's because I've been through so much stuff in life, but I just thought to myself, they don't need to be alienated. They didn't do any of this. I just felt like it was us and it was them. But that's not what it was. It was us and it was him. And so I didn't want them to feel like we didn't like them, because they're not him. His sister actually hugged me once. When I stood there on the road crying, asking the family for answers, she came back and hugged me. So I knew she was nice. So that helped going up. It made me a little less afraid. But I just went up and I told her that I was sorry for this whole situation and that what they're going through. I'm sorry that they have to go through this. And then I asked her if I could have a hug. And she gave me a hug. And then her brother was there, and I felt like I couldn't leave him out of the love, so I gave him a hug too. And it made me feel good. It's just weird that it's all turned around now, and it's like, I get to say that it's his turn to die instead of him saying it's my turn to die. And I kind of feel weird about that. Because he has a family, and they have feelings. And I get that, but I'm sorry, he deserves to be gone. He doesn't need to breathe our air. He's not capable of anything good. Yes, Asbenson, A-S-B-E-N-S-O-N, Jennifer. Yes. How old? I was 19.
What city was it in?
It was in, I was met him in Palm Springs, but everything happened in Desert Hot Springs.
Thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
Enjoy the beginning of your life.
Yes, and if anyone wants to post this, I'm writing a book now. My whole life story, it's not just about this. And it's jenniferasbenson.com, you can find it. Maybe it could save somebody's life.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, tell everybody I got a plane to catch at 1 o'clock. Hurry up.
You got it.
Talk fast.
Jack said something about when you were gripping hands during the verdicts. You said something to him. What did you say?
Excuse me for just 1 second. Thank you.
We were talking to each other about, yes, we have won. The justice system finally worked. That's what I tell people. Keep after it. Keep after it. Over 29 years for me, over 32 for Jack. It's a long haul, but we got justice today. And we're all happy. We're all happy.
And you're
I am Tammie Erwin's dad, Charles Erwin.
Charles, does this give,
E-R-W-I-N. Everybody always misses it.
Charles, does this give you some peace now?
Yes, it does. It took a large weight off my shoulders. This has been very bad on my health, but I survived. I'm here, and we won it. We won it. It's a good thing.
How important for you was it for the jury to come back with the old versus?
At this point this morning, I really didn't care which verdict it was, because he's never going to be able to hurt anybody again. And that's what we want. He's never going to be out. That's important to all of us as family members. I want to thank all of y'all.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate
Daniel,
it.
Have a good flight.
thank you.
Safe travels.
So tell us a little about your mother's name.
Mary Ann Wells,
And how old were you at the time?
13.
And your name?
Steve Wells.
Tell us a little bit about her.
She was a single mother, heart of gold, a good woman that just got caught up in a bad situation at the tail end of her life. Unlucky, I would say.
And I was asking Jack and Charles, you all ripped hands for her. That was all. Did it help having these other families there next to you?
It helped immensely, yes. Big help for me.
Talk about your feelings.
Can you repeat that?
Your feelings when you heard the verdict of death?
I felt enormous weight lifted off my shoulder, and I felt for the first time in 30 years like my mom's life mattered. It just, for 30 years I felt like, I don't want to say nobody cared, but like it just wasn't very important to anybody. So I don't feel that way anymore. It's a good feeling.
Steve, how difficult was it to be sitting that close? I know you've been there throughout this process, but to see it kind of for the last time?
In proximity to
Urdiales.
Yes.
Quite frankly, when I first walked into the courtroom in March, I thought I was going to have trouble. I considered jumping over that partition at first, to be honest with you. It was difficult because he just showed no emotion, no accountability, no lack of remorse, and quite frankly, at this point, I feel the verdict is justified.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
very much.
How do we follow that?
Yeah.
Matt, can we get spelling on both of you just so we have it?
Mine's easy. M-E-R-P-H-Y.
Scarbrough, S-C-A-R-B-R-O-U-G-H.
Matt, this has been quite the journey to see the end of it for you and to see the verdict come back today the way the jury said. Just your thoughts.
Right. We had a great jury, very experienced judge. System-wise, it takes a long time to get here, but this is the way it's supposed to work. We have people that dedicated 6 months of their lives as jurors to see this through, and we're just incredibly grateful. Anything else? That was really easy.
Yeah, the families were so good.
Yeah. We know we're not getting any. We're not getting any.
I made a comment about the length of time it took to come to this point, since Spitzer made a big issue.
Yeah, I didn't hear his comments, but it's a process. When we're talking about the ultimate penalty, it's very important, of course, that we give criminal defendants all the process required for justice, as corny as that sounds. This took a long time, but now we're here, and this case is a great example of why we should have the death penalty.
Matt, during closings, the defense talked about Urdiales feeling remorse and that kind of thing. For you, now that this is done, can you comment again on that?
Yeah, I mean, he obviously had no remorse, or he wouldn't have kept doing it over and over again. This guy was not mentally ill. He didn't have schizophrenia. There's 1,000 mental defects and diseases that people can suffer from. He didn't suffer from any of it. This is somebody who killed these young women because he enjoyed it, because he got off on it. And there was they were as senseless as they were brutal, these murders. And, he had no remorse, or he would stop doing it. All he had to do was pick up the phone, and he let the Brantley family alone suffer for 11 years before he got caught. And his confessions were because the jig was up. He knew he was busted, he knew that he'd left a trail of forensic evidence, and that's why he confessed. So he had no remorse, he expressed no remorse. And interestingly, during the trial, there's a moment when his sister began talking about her being molested, and he couldn't take it. He jumped up and said, I don't want to hear this, I don't want to listen to it. But as we went through 41 stab wounds with Robert Brandley, and all the brutality he visited on all these other women, he sat and had no problem with that at all. So he did it because he liked it. He has absolutely no remorse. He's a disgrace to the United States Marine Corps. And the jury absolutely did the right thing today. Yeah, we should probably, and this is never going to get on the air. Officially, we want to thank the San Diego Crime Lab was outstanding. Riverside County we worked with them very well. Palm Springs Police Department, Cleveland City Police Department, all the fine detectives that were involved. They did amazing work. They were a pleasure to work with. And this is actually a good example of how 790, that's the multi-jurisdictional prosecution statute, works. It's the way it should work. You know, nobody should have a jurisdictional defense just because they're murdering people across lines. This is just like writing a call in.
In the case of the other 3 death sentences, how was this?
Well, each of those were commuted by the governor's office in the state of Illinois. So this is now the one standing death verdict, you know, against Andrew Urdiales, who happens in the state of California. But you know, this is a guy that deserves what he genuinely deserves to die for. Whether that's ever carried out.
How were they created there?
Illinois politics, nothing to do with Andrew Urdiales as an individual. There was never a question of his guilt back there. There was never a question of his culpability. This was he was one of many. They commuted everybody blanketly, if that's a word. They commuted the entire death row in Illinois, and they did it twice. So he was convicted for Cook County, sentenced to death for Cook County, got commuted along with everybody else on death row in Illinois. Then he was convicted in Livingston County, sentenced to death in Livingston County, and then once again he received the benefit of blanket commutation for all death row inmates in Illinois. Now he'll be on death row in Illinois.
Now, you talked about all the moving parts in this and all the people that helped, including your office. The sense of relief and closure for not only you, but everyone involved. And I know you've done a lot of big cases, but to have this one in the way it did?
Yeah, I mean, this is one that behind the scenes, even though it took a long time, this case worked exactly the way they should. Counties got together, cooperated. Law enforcement was seamless in the way it handled it, I think. A lot of, Palm Springs and the Riverside County police agencies couldn't have been better. The officers were excellent. Cook County, Ray Krukowski, the arresting officer, was outstanding. The guy stepped up. He's got some very severe health problems. And when we called him in Tennessee, he's like, tell me when I need to be there. So it's this one behind the scenes. This really is an example of the way it's supposed to work. We had dedicated jurors, we had an excellent judge, we had great court staff. This is an example really of the system working and working well, despite a lot of time.
Is there also an issue, from a workflow standpoint? You had Howard Gundy originally on it when he was promoted, and I think Mike Lurie was on it.
Except for those guys.
And then you were the judge, and then you would take it over, so it had to be rebooted a little bit.
The baton had to get handed a few times, and of course, if it wasn't for Eric Scarbrough and our law clerks here, we never would have gotten through the end of this thing. But again, it's the way it's supposed to work, people working together to make it happen.
And as far as the length of time, we had tremendous help just extraditing him from Illinois through the Attorney General's office. Gary Schoen, who's now retired, was instrumental in making that happen. So there was a lot of things that were happening behind the scenes that were actively going forward while this case was pending. So it wasn't just sitting there for 10 years. There were mechanisms to try to even bring him to California to get in trouble.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you. Good job.
Good show.